And welcome to the show. You're listening to the Greybeard Show. My name happens to be Shawn Davis, otherwise known as Greybeard. And you're along with me as I'm talking about powering your life with mentorship. And today is going to be an awesome show, a really hard-hitting one. I'm going to be talking about drift in life. Are you drifting right now in your life as we approach 2026, the brand new year? People are setting goals. They're thinking about their life. They're thinking about the things that they'd like to change. And this is precisely the time that we need to start talking about drifting and how to not do that. So if you're kind of unsure about the definition of drift, drifting is living in motion without intention. It's when you wake up, handle your responsibilities, stay busy, keep moving, but somewhere along the way, you stopped deliberately choosing the direction of your life. You're not failing, you're not lazy, you're not broken. You're reacting instead of choosing the direction of your life. Drift happens when your life quietly shifts from being designed to being kind of managed. You stop making clear decisions about where you're going and start responding to whatever's loudest, most urgent in your life, or most expected of you. Over time, momentum replaces purpose, and activity starts to feel like progress, even when nothing is actually changing about your life. Drift doesn't feel dramatic. It feels reasonable. It feels like this is just a busy season. It might feel like I'll deal with that later. Or it could be once things settle down, I'll get to that. And because it feels manageable, you don't notice it at first. Here's how you know you might be drifting. You're busy, but if asked where your life is clearly headed right now, the direction, where's it going? If somebody asks you, hey, where are you going? Where are you going to be in like 2 years or 5 years? You'd hesitate. You'd feel like you didn't know the answer. You'd feel inadequate or dissatisfied, but you can't quite explain why. You keep postponing decisions that you know you need to make, decisions that are important about your life, decisions that matter, telling yourself you'll get to them when you have more time, more clarity, or more energy. And deep down, you have this quiet sense that life is happening to you instead of being built by you. So let me be clear about something. Drift is not a lack of ambition. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not a lack of effort. Drift often shows up after you've been responsible for a very long time. You've carried weight after you've done what you needed to do for the benefit of other people in your life. Somewhere along the way, though, you stopped choosing direction and started letting the momentum of life kind of decide for you. And here's an image that tends to land. Imagine you're out on the ocean. The boat works, the weather's calm, you're moving, but you never set a heading. The currents shift, the winds nudge you, hours pass. You're not in danger, but you're also not intentionally going anywhere. That's drift. You're burning fuel, you're covering distance, but you're letting the current decide where you end up. And that's not what you want to do with your life. And the danger isn't where you are today. The danger is where you'll be if nothing changes. Drift doesn't usually create immediate pain. It creates delayed regret. You don't feel it right now. You feel it years from now when you look back and realize how much time passed without intention. And here's the most important part. Drift doesn't end with a thought. It ends with a decision. You don't think your way out of drift. You move your way out of it. Once you name it, once you're honest about it, you take the first real step toward living by design instead of by default. And that's where real momentum begins. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this is personal to me because I suffered significantly from drift at one point in my life. And it was when I really had a lot of success as a financial advisor in financial services. So for 22 years, I was a fiduciary financial advisor. And the first 9 years of it really was not fun. I mean, it was feast or famine, commission-based, hard to create consistency. I didn't love it. It was a job. It was what I was doing. It paid the bills, but there wasn't a lot that I could extract in terms of life purpose or anything like that. But then one day I found a microphone. The microphone I'm talking to you on right now. I found radio, and radio really changed everything for me overnight. Well, yeah, I guess you could say overnight. I mean, it wasn't literally overnight, but it wasn't a 20-year overnight story like you hear sometimes with musicians or artists. But it took me about 6-8 months, but radio really started to hit, and it started to produce momentum for me, and it started to change my business significantly. People were calling me. People wanted to meet with me, and I'd never seen anything like that in my career. And so I took the opportunity. I jumped on it. I started to do more radio, and I started to add more stations because, again, this is crazy. I can't believe that this is working this way. And so fast forward another 18, 24 months, and I was the most successful I had ever been in my life. And seeing that, experiencing that, benefiting from that, it made me want to do more because I had been so challenged in the preceding 9 years. And so I stepped on the gas, and I got to a point within a few years where I was on 5 stations, and I was spending about $600,000 a year on radio. And fast forward about 5 years, and I had lived a life that was not by design. It took over. That business, that monster I created, really affected my life in significant and meaningful ways. So much so that success almost cost me everything because I wasn't paying attention to kind of 7 key pillars of my life. Right? And today we're going to talk about these 7 key pillars. We're going to talk about how you stop drifting. I'm going to be the first one to say I was a drifter in life. I know what it's like. I didn't see it. It happened to me. You fast forward, all of a sudden you look back over your life over 5, 7, 10 years and you go, oh, whoa, who am I? What happened? How did I end up this direction with my life? And so I had to do an assessment. I had to take stock of where I was. I got to a point where the business had taken over so many other dimensions of my life, creating that success, trying to maintain that success, trying to maintain that volume, spending $600,000 a year, having to make $75,000 a month just to break even. I got to a place like that as a financial advisor, having to make $75,000, almost $1 million a year just to break even on the amount of money that you're spending for business, And so it cost me immensely, and I didn't see it at first. It cost me in key areas of life. So let me explain something. I think that there's 7 pillars that you need to rest your life on. 7 key pillars that matter. Faith, number 1. I don't care what your faith is. I just think faith isn't important to a well-rounded life. I think that if you think that everything begins and ends with you, that's a very lonely and a very difficult life to live. So faith. Family goes without saying. Friends, I think you need friends in your life to give you that quality, that community. Fitness, what's success if you're, like on death's door because you didn't maintain your fitness? Field, which is what you do. Your job, fun, and finances. So faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. Those 7 key areas of life are important to take stock of, important to notice, important to evaluate, important to stay on top of as you move through life. It's kind of your direction. It's the rudder to your ship. How am I doing in my faith life? How am I doing in finances? Do I need to make any changes there? What's my fitness life? What's field? And we'll get into a little bit more of this, but what happened to me, just to finish the story, what happened to me was field and finances exploded. My job was great. Money was great. Okay. But every other dimension of my life, faith, well, guess what? I stopped going to church because I had to maintain this monstrous beast I had created. Sundays were for writing a radio show or writing a report for the coming week. Well, guess what? I stopped with visiting with friends. I didn't have time. Didn't have time, man. When's the business going to end? Am I going to get to the bottom of the barrel? Is the bounty going to dry up? Is the harvest are we going to have a drought here? So I kept hammering. So guess what? Friends, I didn't visit with friends. Some of them for years. That's not good. Fitness. Oh, Lordy, my fitness. Man. Sometimes success can ruin your fitness like nothing else. So for me, it was all about time. I didn't have the luxury of time. I had to get fast food. I ate quickly. I ate because I didn't plan. Meal planning? Nope. Didn't do any of that. Out the door. Okay. And so my fitness was horrible. I'd ballooned up like 45 pounds. I didn't recognize myself. I didn't feel comfortable with my body. I knew I needed to make some change. In fact, I knew I was stressing my body. Hypertension, blood pressure, that type of thing. Not good. Fun? What fun? Some seasons of life, fun becomes a luxury, but imagine not having fun. Isn't life supposed to be something that you enjoy and have a good time at, that you have laughter and elation and that feeling of being a kid, the joy that comes? I didn't have any of that. I was just too busy grinding. So here's the thing. I think that there's a lot of people out there in radio land right now hearing my voice that are drifting, that this is hitting, that it's resonating, that there's certain parts of your life that you haven't attended to. And not because it was a conscious design, it's just because life happened and you get pulled and pushed and out of sorts and pressure, and you got fires and urgency and everything demands you. And so sometimes it's just kind of going through the motions, getting through life, making sure that you can just breathe. But you don't have enough energy to really attend to things. So as we head into the new year, I'm launching a very, very special offer. And it's specifically for people that feel like they're drifting right now. And I've only got 7 spots available. And I'm calling it Stop Drifting. It's a 30-day life reset with me. 30-day life reset with Greybeard. Okay, we're going to take a look at your faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. We're going to do an assessment in those 7 key areas to see how well you score. How are you doing in those categories, those 7 key pillars of life? We're going to do that assessment, and then we're going to find which ones are the worst. And you and I, we're going to pick a category or 2 categories, and we're going to work on that for 30 days. You'll get 3 sessions with me, 3 one-on-one, 1-hour sessions with me in 30 days. Only 7 spots available. As we launch into the new year, I'm going to give you a 33% discount. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 sessions for what I normally charge for 2 sessions. And this is going to be $499. $499 for life change. $499 to reset. $499 over 30 days as we begin the new year. Special, only 7 spots available. If that sounds interesting to you, if you want to stop drifting, if you want to work with a mentor who changed his life significantly, I've reset myself. This is how I stay on track. This is how I manage my life right now, looking at these 7 key pillars. If you want to do something for yourself, if you want to do something that you decide, where you choose, where you put you first, all you got to do is take out your smartphone right now and text Greybeard. Hey, Greybeard, tell them you're the EY version. Okay, thank you. That's Boomer Bill, by the way. Thank you, Bill. Yes, to his point, I'm the EY version of Greybeard. So Greybeard, one word, Greybeard, to 84503. It's a 5-digit number on your phone. So key that in, that 84503. Key that in like it's a new phone number from a friend you just met that you're going to text. You just put those 5 digits into your texting app, 84503. Text me, Greybeard, one word, Greybeard, because you want to stop drifting. You want to partake in a 30-day life reset with me, one-on-one coaching, 3 sessions, 30 days, life change, stop drifting, only 7 spots available. Text Greybeard to 84503. And again, 33% discount, a holiday special. Won't hear this again. Okay, holiday special, heading into 2026. That's all you got to do. Text Greybeard to 84503. So getting back into this idea of drift and what I went through. So at that particular season of my life, so just to kind of finish that story, Business was great. Radio was transforming my business. I'd never seen that type of revenue or volume coming. I've never seen that kind of lead flow. I mean, I was at a point where I was using radio as a financial advisor, and I was getting anywhere from, I would say, 35 to 50 leads every single weekend off of a 1 hour radio show. Then it started to balloon. I got 2 hours and I started to get more. I got to a point where at one point I got, I want to say 110 leads for a financial advisory firm. The 110 people that say, "Hey, I want to come talk to you about what's going on with my finances." And so it was significantly transformative. And most people dream about an opportunity like that. I mean, like as an 18-year-old boy, I wrote in my high school yearbook that I wanted to be an airline pilot. I thought I was going to be an airline pilot, and I wanted to make $100,000 a year. That was 18-year-old Shawn. I wanted to be a pilot and make $100,000 a year. Which at 18 for me, I'm almost going to be 55. At 18 for me, that $100,000 was a lot of money. I mean, I came from a lower, I would say middle class family, only child, parents that didn't have, significant financial success in life, but had steady jobs. I never wanted for anything, but I wasn't a rich kid. Let's just put it to you that way. So $100,000 a year, that was massive. That's a lot of money, right? So fast forward, this at me, when would this have been? So this would have been 2012. So this is 40-year-old, 41-year-old me, being on top of a financial advisory practice, a radio show, and $1 million+ per year in revenue. I mean, we got to a point back in 2012, 2013 where I was spending, again, $600,000 a year on radio, and it was producing about $2.5 million a year in revenue for me. So, like, how do you, it's like a gravitational pull. How do you not marshal all of your energy, especially when you've never seen anything like that before? How do you not marshal all of your energy toward that? And so I made sacrifices, not intentionally, but I made sacrifices. And started to concede time. Friends would reach out. "Oh, hey guys, sorry, busy, can't do that. Nope, can't go here. Nope, can't go golf." Well, I didn't really like golf anyway. Golf, no offense to the golfers out there, but golf to me is a 4-hour exercise in frustration. I never had enough time for golf, honestly, for the reasons I'm already sharing. And so it really started to affect me significantly. And one of the biggest categories I started to see it in initially was faith, And just for context, back in 2009, I really had a come to Jesus encounter. Okay, it's my testimonial story. Okay, so let me frame it properly. So 2009. In financial services, this was pre-radio. 2008 to 2009, big Great Recession happened. Stock market plummeted 50%. I like to say that everyone's 401k turned into a 201k in 6 months. So between October of 2008 to March of 2009, that 6-month period of time, the market fell 50%. Imagine 50% less money in everybody's bank account. Nobody wanted to do anything. Nobody wanted to move money. Everyone was paralyzed. They were scared, wondering how far it's going to fall, if it's going to fall further. And so I was paid when people moved money. And so at that particular juncture in time, I'll be very vulnerable as well and say that the pressure of trying to make money, the pressure of feeling like a failure as a father because I wasn't making any money, people weren't transacting. I felt like I lost hope. I was behind on taxes with the IRS because I never felt like I could pay them because it was feast or famine. There was no consistency to my business. Somebody out there in Radio Land understands this, and has lived this. And so for me, that was me. And so all of this coalesced at one time where I just had this unbearable pressure on me. And it culminated in me seeking to relieve that pressure with alcohol. I was a vodka guy. I was going through a 750 milliliter bottle of vodka every 2 days, if you can believe that. I was drinking heavy. And my wife, she wasn't about it, but it was how I was handling the pressure of feeling like a failure, of not providing, of not having the money, of the burden of the situation. And so I remember it was a Tuesday. I had enough. I didn't want to be here, to be honest. Be here as in like be on this planet here, right? I go get in my truck. Not that I was going to do anything. It wasn't like that. But I just go in this, and I was broken, and I was tear filled, and I knew my life was out of control, and I knew my drinking was out of control, and I had just this overwhelming sense of dread and fear and complication and no hope. And I felt like the challenges that I was experiencing in life that were outside of my control, they felt like all of them felt like climbing Mount Everest, and I just didn't have the capacity, and I didn't see a way out, and there was no hope, and I just was broken, and I'm in this car, and I'm like pleading. And at the time, I was a Christian atheist. And what I mean by that is I believed in God. I'd been a believer in God for a long period of time, but nothing about how I was living my life was evidenced in that belief. In other words, you couldn't look to me as a good Christ follower. There was nothing about my life at that juncture where I felt like a good Christ follower. And I just pleaded with God. I said, take my life, please. Take me home. I said, take my business, take my house, take whatever you need to take. I just can't continue to live life like this anymore. And I can't properly describe to you the feeling that I had in that moment, but in a moment, my life was transformed. It really was. I felt the pressure release. I felt a weight come off me that I can't really articulate or describe other than that. I mean, it felt like somebody literally took 150 pounds off my back, like in a moment. I felt hope-filled. I had clarity. All of a sudden, I had clarity about what I needed to do and what needed to change and where I needed to begin. And it was almost like God just kind of like planted the seed. It was like a whisper into my head. And from that moment, I've never touched alcohol again. Never. Haven't drank since 2009. From that moment, from that day. And God took it from me. He took it from me. And then shortly thereafter, I found radio and I started to get into it. And I was so just thankful that I didn't leave this planet, that God didn't take me home. Like within a short period of time, within 18 months, everything about my life had changed, and I was grateful, and I'm filled with gratitude, and going to church and tithing and coming alongside other people. And I give you all of this context to say, within a few short years, that beast, that thing I was grateful for, how God had transformed my life. I was on fire for him. I was on fire with my faith. I had never been more connected. But business, because of drift, had distracted me. I put all my energy in making money, feeding the monster. And even though I was so transformed, God in that season in 2009 completely changed everything for me. But how quickly we can forget, how quickly we can justify little concessions. I mean, how did I go from a guy that was on fire, okay, because of what I lived, because what he did for me, what he took from me? He took that alcohol burden from me. I was on fire for him. How do I go from that to not going back to church, not having any time to pray, not developing myself spiritually? It was drift. It was drift. It was distraction. Wow. Just something hit me just right now in that moment. Okay. Do we not live in the most distracting world right now? Social media, politics, the economy, the noise, just all the stuff. Are we not living in a terribly, terribly distracting world right now? See, if you believe in God, you got to believe in the enemy of God. And the enemy of God would love nothing more than to side rail you, to detain you, to circumvent you, to distract you from your purpose. And whether it was me or whether it was the enemy of God's big design or whatever it is, I got distracted. Okay. And that's why it's so important to acknowledge drift in your life. You got to stop drifting. You got, because drift, again, Drift doesn't feel dramatic. You know, it happens when your life quietly shifts from being designed to being managed. When you stop making clear decisions about where you're going and start responding to whatever's loudest, most urgent, and most expected of you. That's what happened to me. Drift is not a lack of ambition. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not a lack of effort. It's a lack of designing your life, having some sort of blueprint that you can come back to. It's a lack of checking in on the direction of your life in 7 key areas: faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. And that's one of the reasons why I want to encourage you to stop drifting. Do a 30-day life reset with me. I'm offering right now, special, limited time, never done this before, limited time only 7 spots. A 30-day life reset with me, one-on-one coaching with me, 3 sessions, 30 days. Okay? I'm offering it to you as a New Year's special. As you're thinking about your life, as you're thinking about what you want to change, as you're thinking about what you want to improve or how you want to design it. You know, everyone does that coming into the new year in 2026. I'm thinking about new goals, new me. You know, 2026, what are my New Year's resolutions? Well, those never stick. But you know what? Having an accountability partner in your life, having a truth teller in your life, someone that's not your family, someone that's not your friends, someone that can tell you the honest truth about what you're saying, how you're talking about your life, what you're feeling, those types of things. Someone that's been there, a guide, a mentor, somebody that's been where you are. Having that in your life, having that truth teller, having that person that can speak to you in a way that nobody else in your life can speak to you is quite invaluable. So here's the offer. Okay, I'm offering 3 one-on-one sessions with me over a 30-day period of time to do a life reset, to focus on the 7 key areas of your life: faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. And you can get that for a 33% discount, offering 3 sessions for the price of 2. It's $4.99. Heading into the new year, it's a gift for you. It's a special gift for you in your life to reset your vision, to take stock of where you are, because some of you out there feel it. You're burning fuel. You're covering distance, but you're letting the current decide where you end up. You're letting life challenges decide that. So if you'd like to take advantage of this, text Greybeard, Greybeard, Greybeard to 84503. So key that 84503 number into your phone. So go to your texting app. Okay, for those of you that aren't familiar, go to your texting app. That's like a new telephone number. So let's say you met me as a friend. We ran into each other, talked, had a great conversation. You want to take my number. Well, that's the 84503. Think of that as like my cell phone number. If you key that into your texting app and text Greybeard to 84503. Greybeard. Tell him you're the EY version, Greybeard. Okay, Bill. That's Boomer Bill, by the way. Yes, I am the EY version of Greybeard. So text Greybeard to 84503 if you want to stop drifting. If you want a 30-day life reset with me. I'm 35-year serial entrepreneur. I've created 3 separate, distinct individual businesses with more than 7-figure revenue. 3 separate businesses: finance as a financial advisor, did it in real estate flipping, and I own an energy company in California today that we do that. And so I think I can help. I have the confidence and the audacity to say, hey, I've been there. I've been where you're at. I think I can help you. So text Greybeard to 84503 if you want to do a 30-day one-on-one 3-session mentoring meeting with me specific to stopping the drift in your life. And I'll give you the architecture. I'll give you a system where you can come back to this architecture, these questions, this system at any point in your life and see if you're drifting or not. Okay. So not only are we going to do it once, but I'll give you a tool that allows you to monitor this for the rest of your lives. All you got to do is text Greybeard to 84503. So again, I was distracted in business, and that cost me dearly in 5 of those key categories. I made sacrifices with my family. Okay. Some of you out there in Radio Land can relate to this. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. Okay, I love my wife. She unofficially goes by Pink Cupcake Girl, but her name is Jen. I'm Greybeard. She's Pink Cupcake Girl. But Jen and I, we started dating when I was 18. She was 15. We're high school sweethearts. We've been married 31 years. We've been together for 36 years, and we have 4 incredible sons, and she is the superwoman of my life. She is the secret sauce. She the thing I love about my wife, let's say the top 4 or 5 things I love about her. This is crazy. I didn't even know these qualities were in her when we got married. These are qualities that I've seen develop as a seasoned spouse, as an incredible mom. It's just crazy to think about how life has these twists and turns. And I love her. I love hanging out with her. And by the way, we're one of those couples that in high school, everybody remembers this. Everybody had a couple in high school that broke up, got back together again, broke up, got back together again. That was her and I. That was our life. We did that mostly because of my shenanigans and tomfoolery. But like, the reality of it is that the first 5 years that we were dating, we were that volatile couple. But my scale always went from 0 to her, 0 to Jen. Like, I date and just nobody could compare. And it was like a gravitational pull. We just always found our way back. And I married her, and I love her. And she's the best part of my life. So how did I get to a situation where I was so consumed about everything else that was going on in my business life? This little 8-year-old me that had been told I'd never be successful, I'd never amount to anything. I was so, in my spirit to prove an old stepfather of mine wrong, to prove the world wrong. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be, wealthy. I wanted to be a finance guy, and that focus, that energy that I put toward that, man, it made me take my family for granted. I got to a place. It wasn't some grand decision. It was small concessions. Hey, I don't have time for that. No, I'm too busy. Nope, I can't do that. Or thinking that you should have a conversation. I should have a conversation with one of my kids, and then I got to prepare for this meeting. I got to prepare for this next thing. And family is so critically important. Like, when everything is said and done, it's really the only thing that matters. You're not going to remember, nor can you take with you the money in your bank account or any of that stuff. It's like the family memories. It's like the people that you love. But I had gotten into a season where I forgot or didn't value them the way they should be valued. Not that you completely forget, but I took them for granted. I let the business decide my life. I let money and finances and everything else going on right now distract me from the real priorities of life. I married my high school sweetheart. I married the girl I love. She's my best friend. Yet I had less and less time, and I had less and less patience because of the pressure. And I didn't see it. And I wish I would have had this assessment. I wish I had an opportunity for a mentor to come alongside me in that particular season. I wish I'd carved out an hour every couple of weeks to meet with somebody to just dialogue what was going on, because they probably could have recognized in me well before I recognized in myself what was happening, what was going on, where it leads. This could have, not attending to drift in your life can cause you to ruin your life. It's like not paying attention to drift out on the ocean causes you to lose your life. Like, how many stories have you heard of somebody not being, attentive to the fact that they're in a boat, they're playing around, all of a sudden, next thing you know, the shore is further and further away from them, and then all of a sudden it's gone. They have no idea where they're at. They end up lost at sea. That happens. If you don't pay attention to how you're living your life, if you don't live by design, if you don't live on purpose, life will push you around. In more ways than one. Sometimes it pushes you around with success. Sometimes it pushes you around with money. Sometimes it pushes you around with a lack of both of those. Either way, your family should be one of the most important things, as well as friends, community. Like, I lost that. I became a lone wolf in that particular season. Working by myself, on my own, not paying attention to friends, and barely having any time for family. And that's just not a good season. It's not how you want to live your life. And again, let me just say, if you're just joining the show, This is all about stopping drift, right? Drift is living in motion without intention. It's when you wake up, handle your responsibilities, stay busy, keep moving, but somewhere along the way, you stopped deliberately choosing the direction of your life. And you're not failing, you're not lazy, you're not broken. You're reacting to life. That's what I did, instead of choosing your course. Drift happens when your life quietly shifts from being designed to being managed. You stop making clear decisions about where you're going and start responding to whatever's loudest, most urgent, or most expected of you. And over time, that noise, that momentum of being busy replaces purpose. And activity starts to feel like progress. You know, you're busy, you're active, you're doing things, but nothing about your life is actually changing, and you're not organizing your life in a clear direction. So drift doesn't feel dramatic. It feels reasonable. It feels like this is just a busy season. How many of you out there in Radio Land have said that? This is just a busy season for me. It feels like I'll deal with that later, as my wife likes to say. That's tomorrow's problem. I love that, by the way. I stole that from her. That's tomorrow's problem. Or it feels like once things settle down, somebody out there in Radio Land is saying that. Once things settle down, I'll get to this. Once things settle down, once I'm in the clear. Oh man, like that ever happens. And because it feels manageable, you don't notice it at first. But here's how you know you might be drifting, okay? You're busy, but if I asked you where your life is clearly headed right now, you'd hesitate to give me an answer. You feel restless or dissatisfied, but you can't quite explain why. You keep postponing decisions that you know matter to your life, telling yourself that you'll get to them when you have more time, more clarity, or more energy. And deep down, you have this quiet sense that life is happening to you instead of being built by you. That's drift. That's how you recognize it. And if you want to stop drifting, here's what I'd like to say. I'd like to help you. I think I can help you. At least I have the confidence and the audacity to think I can help you because I'm publicly saying it, right? So here's the thing. I've got a special 30-day reset specific to stopping drifting. It's a 30-day life reset with me where we look at faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. I've only got 7 spots. First come, first serve, 7 spots available. 3 one-on-one sessions with me. You'll meet with me individually, 3 one-on-one sessions in the next 30 days. An initial session, a follow-up session 2 weeks later, and then a follow-up session at the end 2 weeks later after that. So 30 days, 3 sessions, one-on-one meetings with me, a 33% discount for the new year because many of you out there in Radio Land are thinking about 2026 and beyond, what you want to change, New Year's resolutions, goal setting, all of that stuff that tends to fade, but having a mentor, having a truth teller in your life, okay, that makes all the difference. So here's Stop Drifting, a 30-day life reset. All of this for $4.99, 33% discount, $4.99. Spend it on yourself, treat yourself, change your life. This is that season. You're too important to let drift continue to happen. You have a purpose. You're here for a reason. If there's something you want to change about your life, accountability, mentorship, that's the recipe. I can help. We'll look at your life. We'll do an initial assessment in those 7 key areas. I've got 70 questions I ask you in those 7 key areas: faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. The 7 pillars that you build a successful, well-rounded life on. Those 7 pillars are what we're going to focus on. We're going to find the 1 or 2 pillars that you score the least or the worst in, and we're going to endeavor over the next 30 days to see improvement in your worst categories, and that should build some momentum for you. We'll start to design how you want to live your life, the direction of your life. We'll take an assessment. Kind of think about it this way. Let's say you were lost in the forest, okay? A lot of people want to just stand still. They want to stand still in the moment. They will, well, if you're lost in the forest, you can't stand still. You're never going to be rescued if you stand still. Now, some people say stay where you are, right? But like, here's what I'm talking about. You can't wait for clarity. That situation demands that you need to take stock of where you are. You need to find the high point. You need to build a signal fire if you needed to. You need to find where somebody could see you if there was a plane. You can't just sit there. You got to take action. Action creates clarity, okay? I believe imperfect action is way better than perfect inaction. So what I mean by that is that some people wait for circumstances to be perfect before they launch, and they never launch because it's never perfect. But action creates clarity. Action creates momentum. And here's your call to action. Text Greybeard. Text me. Greybeard, one word, Greybeard, to 84503. That 84503, that's like my cell number. Okay, key that in like you're going to text me. I want you to text me to that 84503 number. Like we just met, text Greybeard to that number. Greybeard because you want to stop drifting. Greybeard because you want a 30-day life reset with me in those 7 key areas. Only 7 spots available, 3 one-on-one sessions over the next 30 days. $4.99. It's a 33% discount. Text Greybeard to 84503. Fitness. Let's talk about fitness for a second because, as I mentioned, fitness was one of the things I sacrificed. When I started building the monster that was my financial services business, I didn't have time. I didn't take the time. I didn't prioritize the time. Everything else was busy. Everything else was urgent. Everything else was a fire. I felt this pressure. Again, this was a season in life where I had expenses of about $75,000 a month just to break even. I'm one guy. I had a team, an office staff of 7, but I'm one guy. I have $75,000 a month. I'm the voice. I'm the name. I'm doing radio. I'm the one responsible to pay those bills. That's how much radio, my office, staff, etc. I had to make that every month. So I started to sacrifice my faith time, Sundays, because I needed to work. Started to sacrifice friends because I was too busy. I had too much pressure. I had to attend to this business. Started to sacrifice family time. I might have been physically present to a whole bunch of things with the family, but mentally I was absent. Somebody out there in Radio Land knows exactly what I'm talking about. Some man or woman out there recognizes that they're so dang busy, so under pressure, so out there to chase the dollar or to capture responsibility that you start to physically be present with your family, but mentally you're elsewhere. You're absent. That was me. And I let my fitness go. And I let it go. I started eating fast food. Fast food was convenient. It was easy. Fast food was accessible. And I just told myself the story that the time was the urgency, right? And I needed to get it done. And so at that particular time, when I started to really take stock, when I really became aware of how much I had drifted, how I didn't even recognize the person that was staring me in the face in the mirror, I knew I needed to make changes. I just didn't know where to begin. And going to the gym seemed like a Herculean effort. So just to give you some context, at that particular time with those responsibilities, I was doing a radio show. So financial advisor, doing a radio show. And at that time, I didn't have the benefit of staff that could write a show for me or, artificial intelligence or anything like that. So I had to do all of that. I had to take the mental bandwidth to take 4 or 5 hours to write a show. Because as a financial advisor, you couldn't just go on the air and talk about whatever you wanted to talk about because, well, here's the thing. If you were a financial advisor and you were taking on-air calls, you could go on the air and talk about whatever you wanted to talk about within reason because there's no way to pre-script what somebody's question is going to be on-air calls, right? So, but taking on-air calls also then meant that I had to work every Saturday, and I'd already worked every Saturday for the 5 years previous of that because I'd go in to do the radio show live on the station. And so I finally got my own radio equipment, and because I didn't take on-air calls, I started to record my shows. But because I was recording the shows in financial services, if you're going to record the shows, you got to now have a script for it. So at my pace, at my cadence, it would take me about 16 pages of, double-spaced lines to write out a show. And literally, I had to get that pre-approved in advance by my broker-dealer. They would approve the show, change whatever the words they wanted me to use, add in disclosures. By the way, this is risky and guaranteed returns and whatever. And I had to do all of that. And then I had to deliver the show reading a script and not sound like I was reading a script. How fun it was. So anyway, fast food became the norm. And so I love me some Taco Bell burritos, boy. That Taco Bell Supreme burrito, I think. Nachos Bel Grande, I had those. Wasn't really a big hamburger guy at the time, but man, fast food that way, Chick-fil-A, anything I could get my hands on. I was not terribly particular. If it tasted good and sounded good, then I would eat it. But anyway, ballooned up 45 pounds. So I'm 5'9". I got up to 225, I want to say. And I'd already had some challenges with body image and stuff like that. As a young person, I stopped eating. I was kind of anorexic. I wasn't bulimic, but I was definitely anorexic. As a young grade schooler, I was told I was chubby or something like that. That stuff hits with you. It lands, and it landed with me. And so anyway, I went through a season where I stopped eating. So I was always very conscious of my body image. And man, you look at and I stopped looking at myself in the mirror. Anybody out in the radio land, stop looking at yourself in the mirror? Well, that's a sign that maybe you need to start doing something about your fitness life, right? If you can't look at yourself in a mirror because you don't like what you see, and you can't step on a scale because you don't like what it reads, that's when you know you need to start changing something about your fitness life. And now you might go, "Hey, Greybeard, what, how do you think you can help me with my fitness life? Are you a fitness trainer?" No, I'm not. Not a trainer, but I'm a guy that has reinvented myself no less than 5 times. And I'm a guy right now, as I'm heading into being 55 next month, that I'm in the best shape of my life. Never been stronger, never been more fit, never been more body proportionate in terms of my height and my size. I get good sleep, got great health reviews, all of it because I became intentional about my fitness. And here's the one thing I'll share with you that changed my life fitness-wise. The one spark, the one thing that anybody out there right now in radio land could do. So if you never talk to me, if you don't do my Stop Drifting, a 30-day life reset with Greybeard, if we don't meet, I want to give you a tip right now. I want to give you a tip that will absolutely change your fitness life. No question. Okay. If you do this, so here's a personal challenge for some of you out there in Radio Land. So if you can't do my Stop Drifting, a 30-day life reset, okay, because let's say $4.99, because again, I only have 7 spots available. It's a 33% discount, 3 one-on-one, 1-hour sessions with me over the period of 30 days to get your life on track, to build momentum, to take stock in those 7 key areas: faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. If you can't do that, by texting Greybeard to 84503. Okay, if you want to take advantage of that, 7 spots available, text Greybeard to 84503. That's a 5-digit number. It's $4.99. That's what the cost is, $4.99. It's a 33% discount, okay? That's what I normally charge for 2 sessions. I'm going to charge that for 3, okay, for the new year, 2026. Let's launch you into 2026 in January with a focus on faith, family, friends, fitness, field, fun, finances. To take that assessment, take stock, text Greybeard, my name, Greybeard, to 84503. But if you can't do that, the money's too expensive, and fitness is one of the areas that you want to change your life, I'm going to give you a tip. I'm going to give you how you can change your life in a meaningful way, and it will cost you 0. Absolutely nothing. 0. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need a specific diet plan. You don't need any of that. It's going to cost you 0, and it will change your life. And you will see, if you do this, I promise you, you will see weight loss. Because I lived it. I did it. So let me tell you the story. My wife, she has a huge Instagram following. Well, huge is relative now. It's over 40,000 people that follow her. Primarily because she was a Disney runner. She would do all these running races in Disneyland. And so she'd dress up in costumes and all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, some of the most elaborate stuff you'll see, but really, really cool stuff. So anyway, because she developed this following in this community, she started to do something that was a challenge. It was called Streaking with the Cool Kids. And it was a challenge streak. So not... definitely not running nude. Okay, that's not what it is. It's when I talk about streak, I'm talking about a day over day continuous streak. So let's be clear. Okay, so she called it streaking with the cool kids. Okay, but anyway, the premise of the challenge was very simple: run, walk, or jog 1 mile a day, dedicated mile every day, a purposeful dedicated mile. So not look at your watch, your Apple Watch at the end of the day. Oh yeah, I did this many miles. Not that. Okay, so but run, walk, or jog 1 mile a day every day for 30 days. Okay. Now she had done that for, I want to say, 3 years, 4 years maybe, before I ever even paid attention. Remember, I was distracted, right? I didn't have time for that. So finally in 2016, I decided to do her challenge. It was June 1st. I did the challenge. I did the 30-day challenge. And in that 30 days of dedicating a mile, being focused on my fitness, being decisive on wanting to change my life in that one area, in 30 days, doing that mile a day, run, walk, or jog. You don't have to run. You can walk or jog. So run, walk, or jog. In that 30 days, I ended up losing 7 pounds. And it was the spark of the biggest health transformation that I've had. Just walking every day, 1 mile a day, every day for 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, I didn't want to stop. It stuck. Okay. Now to this day, today, right now, as you hear my voice, I've not stopped. My wife and I are closing in on 10 years next year. 10 years of doing a mile a day every day. It's just part of my DNA now. You do that mile a day, walk that dedicated mile. What do I mean dedicated? It's purposeful. You go out and you do it. I'm going to go do my mile. You tell your family, I'm going to go do my mile. You do that for 30 days. It'll change your life. I promise. For the rest of you that want to work on other key areas, including faith, family, friends, field, fun, finances, let me encourage you one last time as we close out the show. I'm doing a special offer for 2026. As you think about the new year, as you think about your goals, as you think about resetting your life, it's Stop Drifting, a 30-day life reset with me. Only 7 spots available. I'm offering it at a 33% discount. I'll give you 3 sessions, 3 one-on-one, 1-hour sessions with me over the course of 30 days to change your life, to build momentum, to take stock of where you are, to stop drifting. If that has appealed to you, text Greybeard to 84503. Once again, you got to text Greybeard to 84503.